Yo, what's going on? How y'all feeling today? Um, today I want to talk about how important it is to understand that you're eventually going to manifest in you're eventually going to play out your beliefs and your philosophies about life. And that's why it's so important, you know, to always be updating your thinking, always be allowing new ideas to come to you, always be observing um, your beliefs and how they play out, your philosophies, how they play out. Because if you're not constantly upgrading, which we all need, because guess what? If you came from a very chaotic, disturbed, not strong, foundational family, you have a lot of belief systems that have been ingrained in you through trauma. So, as a person that, you know, is here studying purposefully about ways of living, ways to perceive life, how to look at it, what to do when something doesn't go right, what to pay attention to when things do go right. Um, Coming from a family structure that was very imbalanced, meaning uh, dad wasn't handling his business properly. You didn't see a healthy relationship from them. You didn't see your father, conducting himself as a man, or um, moving with purpose. That fucks you up as a young man, and that fucks you up as a young woman too, because you go imbalance. Why? You start to, as a man, you start to um, allow yourself not to be in a position of a man because you never seen one. For women, you want to play such a strong role from obviously observing your mother um, so much, to the point where it affects you. If you had a very balanced family structure, you would see how men set boundaries in their immediate family. You see, that's the one thing that I have noticed about people that didn't grow up with a strong father figure. And when I mean a strong father figure, I'm not talking about a man in the house. And I'm not here to tell anybody how to any man, how they should conduct their household, because every man's going to do it differently. But the one thing I have noticed is the men that get walked all over versus men that don't tolerate shit, that what set boundaries where in his household, his lifestyle, himself, um, that's principle based. And what does this do? It keeps the foundation and the structure of the family, especially nowadays. The woman, they have reverence, they have and they will always test it. They will have a certain level of understanding for the man. Go, okay, you know what, I can't be doing that. Okay, I'm pushing the boundaries of, let's say, respect. And what I've noticed is women that didn't grow up in a household with any men being above them, such as their father, they'll have issues with boundaries. And that's just what it is. And they lack the vision of seeing, of have seen their own mother getting checked, their own mother, just playing the feminine role in a man's life. So they start to do the same thing. They'll start dating men, and then it'll just be a shit show, because now it's kind of two people in the driver's seat, and they keep flopping back and forth from passenger to driver, passenger. You see, and this is why it's important as a woman to look at the man that you're with and really sit down logically and go, do I trust this man to lead? Do I trust this man in his journey and where he's going in life? Because at the end of the day, if kids do pop up in the picture, that's going to be the father of your child. That's, that's going to be the man that's teaching those kids how to be a man, or what to look for in a man. And that's why it's not easy being a man, because even if you as a woman go, oh, it should be equal, 50-50, at the end of the day, nature, meaning what? We have a societal agreement to life, but nature doesn't care. If you look out in nature kind of just does what nature does. It doesn't care if we go, oh my God, the lion shouldn't eat the gazelle. The spider shouldn't set up its trap. And why is it eating those flies? You see, nature doesn't care. We'll have feelings towards it because of, our spirit, our consciousness, and we'll have opinions about it. But nature's still going to do what nature is programmed to do. So same thing happens in relationships. Like, you can feel some type of way, but at the end of the day, a man knows, and amongst other men, we all really know if you carrying yourself as a man or not. And I always say this, the one thing that highlights that is just shining light on the relationship that you're in with a woman. She will tell the world without it being direct, if you're a man, by how she's conducting herself with you, or how she's representing herself with you, and vice versa. A man represents that woman as well in many ways. So if a bunch of young folks had misrepresentations of the feminine, of the masculine, and by the time they get to the age where they're getting, in relationships and serious about others, that young man has no clue and has no representation, and has had no examples of what it means to carry himself, to think, to move as a man. And then 9 times out of 10, they don't look for it. They don't want to look for it. Because guess what? That girl, also the same thing. She's making him feel like that's the right way to live and move between man and woman in that dynamic. Because guess what? In her household, maybe she grew up and, mom is always right. It's always mom's way. So by the time she gets in that relationship with that man, she's not really looking for any structure or any type of validation from a man. It's like she's going and looking at the man and going, you know what? I'm validating you. And sex plays a big thing, because I know what you want. I know you lack these things. But this is the trap that a lot of young men don't know they're in. Because they haven't asked the right questions. They haven't checked their beliefs. They haven't checked their philosophies. They haven't seen someone do it properly. They haven't seen a woman in her feminine properly. They haven't seen a man in his masculine properly. And that, it has a different flavor. It has a different taste to it. You feel me? But that's the one thing that you see amongst you know, people is they have not had a great example of, you know, a male and female in front of them. So they're just kind of winging it. But I'm telling you, you can't wing something that's been already structured for so long. When there's signs behind the structure in itself, not just a belief system, you know, it breaks down how you grew up. But that's why we're here for, to figure out what has been our flaw, what have we missed, in other words. What didn't we get? Even when I look at, you know, my own lineage, there has not been too many great men before me. And this is how I would think as a woman looking at a man. Okay, I'm with this man, or I'm thinking about this man. I need to see what I'm going up against. And for a woman too, as a man, you need to look at her lineage. What has she been going up against? What has she been indoctrinated with? And guess what? You're going to be against that. You're going to be facing that. And it's not easy. It is not easy to face someone's programming of the indoctrination, especially if you want to be, you know, a fucking man. A man that, you know, wants to represent his family, his name, you know, build his legacy, you know, etc. So that's just my 2 cents. You gotta build yourself up as a man, and that's the hero's journey. And it doesn't happen in a day, it doesn't happen in a year, it doesn't happen in 2. It's a lifetime continue process. And you're going to suck in the beginning.